What's going on, ladies, gents, and kids of all ages? It is Eric coming back at you once again from the Nerd Cave, and I'm glad to be back. Sorry we missed Monday's episode, had a lot of stuff going on. Competed in my first set championships of the new set, ended up coming in 9th, which was pretty rough, so having a tough day on Sunday. I didn't get around to completing the video to get it out on Monday, but did want to go ahead and jump back into it this weekend. As you know, I did also just have a new baby, so it's been a little crazy around here, but I plan to get back to 2 videos every week, so definitely stick around for those. We're pushing up on 1,500 subscribers, so if you haven't subscribed, now is a great time to do so, because we're going to be giving away an Inklands booster box very soon. Already have that in hand for whoever the winner is, so if you're looking for those sweet Inklands cards, definitely make sure you're jumping on that, and even if you're not, it's always good trade bait. But today is going to be another deck tech. We're going to be talking about kind of the dark horse in the meta right now, which is Amethyst Steel. It's a deck I'm pretty excited about, and this is kind of my version of it. Obviously, Spessy was the first person to kind of bring this to the forefront, from what I know anyway. I competed with a similar build in the Influencer tournament in Europe. Wish they had something like that here. I would love to jump in on that. Get around the same amount of views. Maybe I would fit the bill and I would be able to come and compete. I think that'd be a lot of fun, but I kind of did my own take on the deck. I've steered more into certain things, and I'm playing some cards that you may not have seen on the original list at all. Definitely some interesting tech options in my build. I'm excited to take this to my next set championships. Hopefully do better than 9th. If you're curious, the one I got in 9th, I played Ruby Amethyst. My deck list is over on Dreamborn. If you're looking for it, definitely go check that out. I did talk about my specific deck list in the video that came out previously, but I was running Tuk at the time. There has been some changes to that list, so if you want to see the current list, definitely check it out over on Dreamborn. But without any further ado, let's go ahead and jump into Amethyst Steel Aggro. So the first card we're playing is going to be 4 Chernobog's Followers, and I've heard a lot of people ask why Chernobog's Followers over Magic Broom. Well, personally for me, I am playing both in this deck, not a full suite of Magic Brooms though. I do have the full suite of Chernobog's Followers. The reason for that is these are guys that are going to have 2 attack, so they're going to deal with Flynn in front of me and keep him from attacking. They're also going to prevent him from gaining lore off of himself, which is super relevant in the meta right now, and great card, going to be able to keep up with that card draw for that Bucky matchup, which by banishing it, it doesn't need anything else to trigger it. So that's why it's kind of better than Magic Broom. With Magic Broom, we are running 2 of those, and you do need another character coming into play to go ahead and banish it and trigger its draw ability. So that is kind of considered a drawback. Chernobog's Followers just needs to quest. Also, the stat lines are opposite, so there's give and take with these cards. If you're playing Yen Sid, this card's very good. Then my last one drop is one of those surprise tech options. Not a card a lot of people are playing right now, but I do have one Triton's Decree. I think this card is actually very good in the current meta. It's going to go ahead and deal with pretty much anything turn 1 that your opponent is going to be doing. Most people aren't on the 3 willpower characters anymore on turn 1. A lot of people are focusing on those 2 willpower characters being very aggressive. You can punish them for being greedy with that, and if they don't have that 1 drop, because a lot of people are going with the higher end line, less 1 drops in the Bucky deck, and they're just going turn 2 Bucky with no other guys on the board. This is actually going to kill Bucky because it's going to deal 2 damage to an opponent's character of their choice, not of your choice. So this is going to get around Ward. Not a great card to get in the late game because it is uninkable. And the next card is going to be another tech option to deal with those early evasive threats, primarily to be another answer to Diablo. That is the 2/3 Magic Broom Aerial Cleaner. During your turn, this character gains evasive, so he's not evasive on the opponent's turn, but on your turn he is, so he's not going to be able to defend like he's evasive. You're not going to be able to necessarily keep him in play. He's going to be a great way to come down and go ahead and bang out one of those evasive threats. Next up in the 2-drop slot, one of the cards you guys have seen me play in so many decks. It's pretty much a staple in like 95% of Amethyst decks. You are seeing more often them getting cut to 3 as opposed to 4 in the current meta, especially because your 1-drops aren't necessarily things you wanted to bounce back. In the past, you may be doing something like Teeth and Ambitions, taking damage on your characters, bouncing them back, and then inking them, which could be great. Now, kind of taking those characters back is just slowing down your card draw at the beginning. So it's going to be used more to heal characters, to bounce characters that have come into play effects, things like that. You know where you love her, 3/3 for 2, quest for 1, and when you play her, or banish her or bounce a character to your hand. Then probably one of my favorite 2-drop characters in the game. I think this card is really good. I've been hot on it since it came out. I bought my foils when they were like 17 cents before anybody was really big on this card, but that is Mr. Smee, 2-drop, 2 quester, 3/3 stat line, which is just very good for a 2-cost character, and his only drawback is at the end of your turn, he's going to go ahead and deal 1 damage to himself, a drawback we are potentially taking advantage of with this deck, so stick around to see how. Also, you can bounce him with Snake and Fox and heal him. Then we do have 4 Babooms. 4 Babooms is where it's at right now. The current meta dictates 4 Babooms in Steel. I really believe that. Baboom is just kind of better than Smash. Smash is really good when you're dealing with a lot of those 3 willpower characters. It's less relevant right now. We have a lot of 4 willpower characters and 2 willpower characters. And then obviously bigger willpower characters beyond that. But in the early game, that's a lot of what you're seeing is 4 and 2. So I don't think Smash is great in the current meta. Baboom, on the other hand, is. Deal 2 damage to chosen character or location. It's also relevant to mention this deals damage to locations. So if you're looking at dealing 5 to something like a Queen's Castle, you can go ahead and finish it off. Same thing if you're only able to deal 4 to like a Hidden Cove when you're up against Bucky, you can finish it off with a Baboom. It is also inkable, which just makes any card good, I think. Most cards anyway. The card we're playing is going to be the other Mim. We do have 3 Madam Mim Fox. Same ability as the other one when it comes into play. Banish it or bounce a character into your hand. Does have Rush for 3 and Quest for 1. So just really sneaky, really good. Deals with pretty much any 3-drop that's going to come out as long as you have something to bounce with her. Then a card I'm still very hot on. It's not seeing play in every deck in the current meta, but is Merlin. I think Merlin Crab is really good. 3/3. He only quests for 1, and when he comes into play, you're giving character challenger +3. When he leaves play, you're doing the same thing. That may seem like not the most exciting thing, but I can tell you full well, when I was playing Ruby Amethyst in the last set championships, this card saved me more times than I can count. In round 1 against Bucky, they were actually on a Morph line and went ahead and dropped a turn 3 Beast. Which I just wasn't prepared to deal with, and I had a Churnabox followers out. They proceeded as soon as they got it out to go ahead and sing with it. I drew into Merlin Crab, slapped the crab down, bumped my Churnabox followers up to 5, and killed that beast right away. So Merlin Crab just still really good. It's always worth mentioning. You can play Fox, bounce him, trigger his ability to target the Fox to give her +3, and then you're looking at an attack for 7, which is going to deal with most anything that's going to be on the board, especially not least of all being the Queen's Castle. Then we do have 3 Benja. I've seen some lists for this deck only running 2 Benja. I think the item decks are still relevant enough to go ahead and be on 3 Benja. Worst case scenario, he is an inkable 2/3 that quests for 2. If you're not playing against Ruby, and you're not going to be playing against somebody running Brawl, Benja can be very good in the Ruby matchup. I think he is probably going to be Ink because they're typically not going to be playing items, and Brawl is just going to be kind of worthwhile for them to go ahead and take him out with. A card that avoids Brawl when it comes into play, but maybe not so much after it's been in play for a second. A card that is a dark horse in the meta that I haven't seen so much in this build, but I think is a great card, so much so that I am on 4 of them. That is going to be Lawrence. Lawrence is really interesting in the meta right now. He has 0/4 for 3 that quests for 2, but his ability is what makes him interesting. While this character has no damage, he gets +4 attack. And that's going to be during their turn, during your turn, so he is going to avoid Brawls, he's going to avoid Madam Medusas, all that kind of stuff, unless they're able to lower his attack. And believe it or not, from what I've seen, a lot of the current Sapphire Ruby builds aren't even running Ice Blocks, so they really can't do anything about this. He's going to be probably getting you a quest or 2 in, and much like Smee, if they do put that damage on him, we have some potential synergy with that in this deck. Next up, a card you've heard me talk about again in pretty much every single Amethyst deck. I don't think there's an Amethyst deck that doesn't play 4 of these, and that's Friends on the other side. 3 cost, draw 2 cards, and it's a song. What more can you ask for? Any cost 3 or more character can go ahead and sing this for free and draw you 2 cards for nothing, which just seems silly. And speaking of drawing 2 cards, we do have 4 Merlin Rabbits, 2/3, quest for 1, comes down for 4, and when you play this character and when he leaves play, you may draw a card. I'm really curious when it comes to, and maybe you guys know, if so drop it in the comments below, when it comes to this card with the new legendary Merlin that's coming out in the new set, if you were to play Blurple and you were to shift on top of a Merlin, I don't think shift mechanic has been relevant in the past with a card that has an enter or exit play ability. Does it count as your Merlin leaving play, or is he still in play? And if he is considered still in play at that point, when the Merlin on top is banished and he gets banished or bounced to your hand, put in your inkwell, Does that then count as him leaving play, or is there never a leave play trigger if you're shifting on top of him? Super curious. Before cost 2/3, when he comes into play and when he leaves, you're going to go ahead and draw a card. Really great, especially with that Mim engine. If you can bounce him back and forth to your hand, you can just keep drawing cards kind of indefinitely. And another great 4-drop Merlin. We do have, he is a 4/3 for 4, quest for 1, and when he comes in, when he leaves, you're going to go ahead and gain a lore again with the goat, with the snake, with the fox. You can go ahead and bounce him back and forth and gain some extra lore if they don't deal with him right away. Typically, your opponent is going to try to kill him as soon as he comes into play. Is ironically kind of a use case argument for Smash because he is the 3 willpower. There are some 3 willpower characters in this deck. Then we do have 2 Along Came Zeus. Fantastic option to sing with the goat, sing with the rabbit. You're not always worried about questing with them because they're only questing for 1. So if you get a song off with one of them and deal 5 damage to a character or location, that can definitely always feel good. Then this is another card that I think was kind of a 3 of last set and is definitely a 4 of in Amethyst. This set, just with the way the meta has shaped up, is going to be the Queen's Castle. 4 costs, gets you 2 passive lore at the beginning of every turn, and does have 7 willpower, only costs you 1 to move characters into it. I don't know what they're thinking with this location. Some of the locations that cost 2 to move in or 3 to move in and have like okay abilities, not sure what they were thinking giving this a 1 cost to move in, especially when Amethyst is already so aggressive on draw. But at the start of each turn, for every character that's here, you're going to go ahead and draw a card, which is, you can get some characters here and your opponent can't deal with it right away, is devastating. Card single-handedly won me the game against Sapphire Steel at the set championships because they just could not deal with it. They didn't have anything on the board when I got it down, and I just kept hammering away, and like they were too busy dealing with my characters, and then I was moving the characters they weren't dealing with in, or the characters that they wouldn't necessarily want to kill, like Kuzco, Rabbit, stuff like that. So really good card. And we do have 2 Grab Your Swords, deal 2 damage to each opposing character. You're not always going to be looking at singing this with this deck. We don't have a lot of options to sing it or anything that can really come out early and sing it, but on turn 5, if you need to get that Bucky board clear, Grab Your Swords is a great answer. It does only cost 5 to play and deals 2 damage to everything. Can deal with some of the bigger threats in the meta right now, like Diablo, like Frenemy, like Bucky, etc. And this is one you're seeing most lists on 2 of these. I did go ahead and kick it up to 3. Bell Accomplished Mystic, 5 cost, 4/4. Again, great stat line, worth noting. It's just going to keep you out of the range of Brawl, Medusa, etc. Quest for 2, shifts for 3. We don't have a shift target for it in this deck, so it's not relevant to us. When you play this character, this is the card that I was talking about that synergizes great with Smee, synergizes great with Lawrence, because there's definitely going to be situations where your opponent puts damage on Lawrence to take his attack away, and then you're able to go ahead and move those damage counters. Or, alternatively, you're able to attack in with Lawrence, kill something favorably, you lose your attack at that point, and then you're able to not only heal him, but also restore his attack by playing Bell, which is when you play this character, move up to 3 damage from chosen character to chosen opposing character. So not only are you going to be able to heal your Lawrence and restore his attack, or heal your Smee and keep him around for more turns, you're going to be able to potentially kill or damage one of your opponent's characters in the process. It's also very good with Shifu. Shifu was like definitely going into this deck and then ended up getting cut at the last minute, just because he's not great against Brawl. Final card in the deck, we are on 4 Tinkerbell. Tinkerbell is just such an aggressive, like scary threat for your opponent that I think it's super worth having her in the deck. I think it's super worth having 4. Again, she has a 4 strength character, so she is going to go ahead and get around those cards we mentioned earlier. She's not going to be able to be killed by as much target or removal. She does die to Along Came Zeus with the 5 stat line, but frankly, so does everything else in this deck. Shift 4, again, not relevant, but 6 cost, 4/5, quest for 2, and when you play this character, go ahead and deal damage, 1 damage to all opposing characters. So she's another option to get those Buckies off the field, and during your turn, whenever this character banishes another character in a challenge, you may deal 2 damage to chosen opposing character. In my experience, your opponent is going to do everything they can to prevent you from ever triggering that ability in the current meta. So if you ever get to trigger that, your opponent has screwed up, but it is a very menacing ability, so when you get her down, your opponent is going to be really scared of that, and they're going to start making different decisions quest-wise, because you're all of a sudden going to be able to take out their evasive threats like Diablo by attacking another character and then dealing the 2 damage there. But Tinkerbell, glad to see her come back around and get back up to, I think it's around the $12 or $13 card again, which I think she was down to 7 there for a while. It's another point to mention, definitely make sure you are taking advantage of the market when those dips happen. Grab the cards then, do not wait. That is my personal opinion, but if you obviously spend within reason. If you don't have the money to spend, you shouldn't be spending it. But if you have the money to throw around, grab them while they're cheap. That's what I say. Thank you guys so much for sticking around to the end. What do you think of this deck? Do you think it has potential to beat the big 4 decks and win a set championship? Is this the deck that you would choose? Would you play something different? Are there cards in it that you wouldn't play that I am playing, or cards that you would play that I'm not playing? I would love to hear your thoughts on this deck list and get your feedback in the comments below. Remember, those comments are going to start getting you entries into the booster box giveaway very soon. We're going to be hitting 1,500 subscribers super soon. Thank you guys so much for the support on the channel. Thank you again to the Patreons who take the time to support the channel and help fund those giveaways. We're going to have a Patreon exclusive video talking about how I choose decks and how I go about deck building coming out in the very near future. So now's a great time to jump into the Patreon. We're going to have more free playmats coming every single month. So if you're looking forward to another playmat on the Patreon, definitely make sure you're jumping over there. It's going to be coming soon. And remember, when you see those toys, video games, and decks with Lawrence in them off in the distance, it is not a mirage. You guys have a great day.